Hi everyone! Today we are going to be looking at halving through the context of Pedro's Pizza Parlour. So today we are learning to find half of a shape. We're going to be learning this through this PowerPoint, through the worksheets that I've assigned you, from finding halves all around us, and also through some games that I have set you as well that I would love if you could do throughout the week. We're learning this to be successful learners who can correctly identify half of a shape and to be confident individuals who can retrieve, which means really look back and think about what we already know about dividing by 2 and apply this knowledge to fractions. Now, we'll know if we've been successful if we can understand that splitting a shape in halves means splitting it into 2 equal parts, and we'll go into that throughout this PowerPoint. We also need to understand that halves are exactly the same size, and we also need to identify halves correctly, which is what you will be doing for your written task today. So let's think back then to our prior knowledge, what we already know about fractions. And I know that yesterday your task was to really think back about your prior knowledge. So hopefully you've done that and you can kind of come into this lesson knowing a bit more about fractions and what you might want to find out. So hopefully you remember from primary 1, 2 and 3 that halving something means splitting it or really dividing it into 2 equal parts. And that word equal is so important in fractions. It's one of our key words really, and it means they both need to be exactly the same size. And hopefully you also know that half is written like this, where you've got 1 on top and 2 on the bottom. And you might even remember that the number on top is called the numerator and the number on the bottom is called the denominator. But really we're going to go into that as well throughout the week. Okay, so let's now get into our context where we have Pedro and he is making delicious pizza for the customers in his restaurant. Okay, so Pedro cooks his pizzas in the oven and it turns out it's a whole pizza, so one whole. It's not been split, it's not been cut yet. He makes them as a whole pizza. And that word whole is another one of our key terms that we're going to be using throughout our fractions topic. Now, we've got a problem here. It's saying 2 customers want to buy 1 pizza and eat half each. Can you tell me if I've cut the pizza into 2 halves? So, if you were to go out to a restaurant, say with your mum or your dad, and you got a pizza and you're going to split it, so you both get exactly the same amount of pizza. You both get 2 halves. Think about what that would look like because Pedro needs our help. He needs us to tell him if he's cut the pizza into 2 halves. So let's have a look. Okay, do you think that he has cut this into halves? Think about it. Well, let's see. He's cut it into 2 pieces, hasn't he? So is that 2 halves? Well, I don't think that is 2 halves, boys and girls, because one piece is far bigger than the other piece, and he has not cut this whole pizza into 2 equal parts. Let's look at it now. Is this into halves? Each person is going to get a bit of pizza. He's split it into 2. So has he cut this bit of pizza into 2 halves? Has he cut this whole pizza into halves? Well, no, again, because they aren't the same size. It's a bit like when we divide by 2, okay? It's not very fair that one person would get this big, massive bit of pizza and the other person would get this wee tiny slither. That wouldn't fill me up. So that is not equal, which means this has not been cut into halves. How about this time he's cut it a different way? He's cut it with the line down the middle. Does this mean that he's got 2 halves this time? Well, no, because again, they're not equal. They're not the same size. Let's see, we need to teach Pedro about halving, boys and girls, because he's clearly finding this a little bit tricky. So here we go. We've got a whole pizza here. And this pizza has been cut into 2 halves. because each piece must be the same size. Each whole pizza must be cut into 2 equal parts. Each piece is called a half, and 2 half pieces make 1 whole. So you can see that this is a half and this is a half, and together they make a whole. Okay, so now Pedro understands. Let's see if he can now cut the pizza correctly. Excellent. Is this 2 halves this time? Well, yeah, because he has cut the pizza into 2 equal parts, which means that both of the people who have ordered this pizza will get a piece of pizza that is the same size as the other person. This whole pizza has been cut fairly and equally into 2 parts. Now, you can see that he's cut it differently this time, but is it still 2 halves? Well, yeah, again, because it doesn't matter which way he cuts it. He could even cut it on a diagonal. As long as it is in 2 equal parts, he will have cut this pizza into 2 halves. Okay, so boys and girls, I hope that was helpful today. So we're looking at finding half of a shape, and we've now done the PowerPoint, and I want you to really have a think and see if maybe you can find any halves in your house, if you can get a bit of paper, and fold it in half, and really just look for halves in the world around you. And then you've also got some worksheets that I have uploaded onto your assignments and a couple of games as well that will help you with your halving. Now, hopefully you now understand that splitting a shape in half means splitting it into 2 equal parts. Hopefully you understand that halves are exactly the same size. And finally, you're looking to identify halves correctly, which you will be doing in your worksheet task and your ICT and active tasks this week. So thank you so much, boys and girls, for listening. I hope that was all clear. But remember, you can ask me anything you'd like to in the Ask the Teachers channel. Bye for now.